everyone, welcome back to the Sweet Take. We can't wait to dive into everything that happened in the first week of Bahrain testing. There's a lot of chatter, so let's unpack it all. So, Michael, why don't you first tell us what's it like to be back? The season is starting. I didn't really feel like the winter break was that long, but here we are back at it. New regs, new cars, new teams.
Yeah, apparently it was 66 days since the checkered flag fell in Abu Dhabi, so it hasn't been long. And it's been amazing that they can get brand new cars, brand new engines already in such a short period of time. It was great to be back. It was like first day back at school. Everyone was checking to see what you'd done on your holidays. And yeah, it was fun. There's a very, very positive atmosphere in the paddock. I think everyone's quite excited about this season coming up.
And we've got some new faces in the paddock as well. Valtteri and Checo back in the paddock. I saw some photos of Valtteri and Lewis kind of chatting and catching up. They're not on the same team, obviously, but to see their friendship and kind of like just went back to the way things were.
Yeah. Yeah. Valtteri's got a very peroxided hairdo. He's looking pretty cool. Checo seems pretty happy to be back. We have a new face, Arvid Lindblad. He's over at Racing Bulls. Very, very cool kid, very funny. And yeah, he looks like he's settling in quite nicely. It's interesting. He's got quite a good relationship with Liam already. I saw them hanging out together quite a bit. And I don't know if you remember this time last year, Liam was saying things like, "Oh, I'm not in Formula One to make friends," and all the rest of it. But he's become actually one of the nicest, most friendly people in the paddock.
Yeah, I mean, I love Liam. I got the chance to interview him at the Red Bull launch, and I also, did an episode of Fit Stop with his girlfriend, and I think they are the absolute sweetest. He represents New Zealand also so well. He's just got that like New Zealand vibe, and I'm excited for Racing Bulls. So, how did they look, Michael, on track?
This year's cars look incredible. The new rigs have made some stunning cars. They're a little bit smaller. The wheels are a lot smaller, so they look agile, nimble. They look very, very racy. The liveries are fantastic. I don't think there's a single shocking livery. There's some that are much better than others, but generally, cars look better. They sound very, very good. Sounds a lot more racy, a lot more, alive. So visually, I think they're going to be stunning this year.
The tires, Michael, like compared to last year, they look like go-kart tires, like the front ones, like they're like significantly slimmer than what they looked like last year.
Yeah, the tires have come down quite a bit. They've reduced the weight of the car, and that was largely through the size of the tire. They look a little bit like the Academy cars when they come towards you. They've got that sort of tight nimbleness about them. They look much more like racing cars. I think last year they bloated a bit. So yeah, they look a lot sharper.
Cool. And you mentioned the sound with the engines moving from 20 to 50% electrical. I was a little bit worried that we were going to get kind of that like whizzing electric sound and less of that, like the F1 car sound that we're also obsessed and addicted to. But how did that actually sound like in real life? Did the sound get compromised?
No, it's actually got a lot better. So one of the components that they removed was muffling the sound. And now that that's gone, even though they're more electric, the combustion engine sounds really good and it's much more louder. And there's some unusual sounds coming out of them. You can actually hear the difference between the Mercedes and the Honda and the Audi. And the Honda has got a very, very strange kind of blowback. It keeps going pa 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 before it starts the station. They have a huge wind up before a practice start, so they really over rev the engines. And when they go into the corners and they decelerate, there's also a kind of distinct audible sound as they shift through the gears. It's very cool. It's people going to racing this year are going to enjoy the sound.
Very cool. And do you have a favorite livery?
I'm not sure yet. I don't think there's one that particularly is the best. For me, it's somewhere between the Audi, the Red Bull, and yeah, maybe between those two. I think those are.
Okay.
The Red Bull looks so good. It's got more purple on it. There's blue around the rims. It looks really good. And the Audi somehow reminds me of the old McLaren Vodafone car.
Yes, yeah. Now that you say
Do you
that, I
have a
can't
favorite
unsee
yet?
it. I definitely so I love the new graphic that Red Bull put on their car. It's giving like Matrix vibes, and they seem like a very Matrix-esque team. So I really like what they've done there. I know Ferrari's changes were very subtle, but it's giving very like Michael Schumacher, Marlboro days with more like white space on there. That's what I grew up with watching with my dad. So that has like a lot of nostalgia for me. I think that the Haas car with more white looks very good. I thought that that caught my eye on track. And I do like the black and white yin and yang design of the Cadillac. I think that's really, classic, and it has this, yeah, it's like light by day, dark by night. I like the contrast between the two. And I'm excited to see how these teams do some custom liveries this year as well.
But yeah, that's going to be great. Yeah, the Cadillac is a very, very cool design. It's a technique that most teams don't do, which I don't understand why, because you can have two different feels to the car depending on which side you look. And it's so well executed. There's a lot of subtlety to it for a first time Formula One team. That's brilliant to see. When Haas, the last team that came to the grid, had a very basic initial design. This one has a lot of flourishes, and it's really cool. The Ferrari is a bit of a funny one because the red is so much nicer. The red is a beautiful Ferrari red, but the white takes away a little bit from it. I do like the black underneath, but yeah, it's growing on me. The other one that I thought was quite nice was Aston. They've used a different color green, and it's a lot lighter, so the car looks a lot better. And there's some interesting yellow highlights on it. I think that could be somebody's favorite as well.
Okay. I'll have to take a closer look at that one. Well, my favorite new hospitality suite, though, is Cadillac. They have that massive logo as the entrance. I think it is so striking. And like the old school 60s Cadillac logo is my favorite ever. It just gives like I'm going for ice cream and sitting, going on a date and watching a movie outside. I just think it's just so classic.
Yeah, that was cool. And Audi have a nice entrance, so they've gone for a curved around the front, and they've brought some very cool. There's this sort of a German brutalist approach about their design. It's quite nice. Yeah, I'm a big fan of what's happening over at Audi.
So, speaking of Audi, Michael, last time we made a video on the 2026 engines, and you made a comment that there was zero news coming out of Switzerland about Audi. It's been a black box, and now they're on track. So, how did they do?
I think that they did all right. So they brought an upgrade package from Barcelona to this race, and it was full of very, very cunning features. They've reduced their side pods to vertical slits, so it looks a little bit similar to the Mercedes Zero side pod concept that didn't quite work, but they've made some changes. They have an upper piece that sort of sticks out where the rearview mirror sits on. And I think that probably can give them a bit more stability that Mercedes was lacking. They also have a very cunning T tray. So the first part of the floor, right underneath the front wing, they've put some holes and some cunning serrations on that. And maybe that'll give them an advantage. It'll help the air go underneath the car and stick it to the ground. But yeah, it's interesting seeing a lot of innovation coming out of that team because Sauber wasn't particularly good at innovating and bringing new concepts to the track.
Is there a team that looks like they are miles apart from everybody else, or is there a team with a car that looks vastly different from everybody else, or are they kind of all in the same?
It's so tricky at this stage because we're all the teams are hiding their real pace. Any team that has real pace is hiding it. Mercedes did get the fastest lap time, but you feel that they had more in the bag that they could have done. And they spent a lot of time in the garage. They didn't get it anywhere near as much running as some of the others. So that's a bit of a problem for them. Red Bull also had a long time in the garage, but they looked really, really good, especially in the corners. They seem to be a little bit more put together over there. So yeah, it's so hard to know which of those big four are doing well. But I think it's one of those big four that will be the early leaders. Aston was struggling. Aston spent a lot of time in the garage, and when they came out, they only came out for short sessions. A lot of the time they ran around much slower than everyone else. And yeah, I'd be concerned if I was that team.
It's a little bit surprising because it's not like Honda's new to F1, and it's obviously not new that Adrian's new to F1s. And he left Red Bull an entire year before this new regulation started to work on that car. So, yeah, I'm a little confused actually about Aston. I thought they were going to be one of the ones that were going to crush it.
Yeah, and I think when that car rolled out in Barcelona, it looked so different to everyone else. I think everyone thought that they were going to nail the season. but apparently components are heavy on the car, so it's a bit overweight. And the engine isn't as reliable as it could be. I think Honda had to, when they thought they were leaving Formula One, they repositioned a lot of the Formula One staff. And now that they're having to do an entire engine project on their own and not working with Red Bull, they've been scrambling to find people to fill those roles. And I think the sort of development cycle's been a bit disjointed. So yeah, probably going to see that team evolve and get better and better as the year goes on. But I don't think they're going to hit the ground running unless they bring a huge upgrade package to Australia, which they might.
The drivers don't seem to be happy. I heard that Alonso slammed his gloves down on his car, and Lance talked about how they were 4 to 4.5 seconds off the pace, which that's almost like a different racing category, 4 to 4.5 seconds off the pace, So they have a lot of work to do. And I just hope, I mean, Alonso's nearing the end of his career, so I want him to like leave on a high.
Yeah. Getting a nice win before he leaves would be ideal. They do feel about 4.5 seconds behind everyone else. But again, it's so hard to tell at this stage because the type of running that they're doing, no one's really pushing lap times. I didn't see anyone going on a sort of soft tire, high speed attack of the track. There were very few cars that sparked, for example. And I'm sure we're
Hmm,
going to see a lot more sparking when they go into qualifying mode. But yeah, I think
interesting.
next week we're going to see some lap times, hopefully.
Right. Well, the top teams are definitely managing expectations. Every single team principal I saw was like, "Oh no, no, we're third fastest." McLaren would say that Mercedes and Ferrari are way ahead of us, and I'm sure Ferrari would say McLaren and Mercedes are way ahead of us, and so they're all just kind of playing coy right now. However, Michael, the drivers like Lewis and Max have been very critical about the new regulations. Max said it feels like Formula E on steroids. It's not fun to drive at all. He said that he might even consider leaving F1 if he continues to not like these regulations. Lewis talked about how he was sitting in a briefing and he was like, so complicated, these new regulations. You need like a degree just to understand it all. And I heard other drivers just kept talking about how complicated it is and all needing to get on top of these regulations. So are you seeing the sense that the drivers are not liking it or they're just trying to figure it out?
I think a lot of them aren't enjoying it. I'm hearing a lot of mutterings up and down the paddock of different drivers saying that they're not particularly happy. It looks like the way things are at the moment, the driver who wins is going to be the one who conserves his energy the most or the best through the race, not necessarily the driver who's the fastest. And that kind of goes away from the ethos of Formula One. We want to see drivers attacking, going full out the whole time. And the sort of resource management style of things isn't really Formula One. It's more endurance racing. So yeah, I think there'll be a few of them who are a bit annoyed. Lando did have a very interesting comment to Max. He was saying, well, Max can retire if he wants to. So yeah, there's some niggle coming in, which is quite nice.
Yeah. Well, I totally understand Max's perspective, though. We want to see the driver that goes the fastest, not the one that can manage energy the most.
Yeah, I mean, it's tailor made for Sergio Perez. So Cadillac could win a few races if conditions like this become extreme, because he's probably the best driver at driving smoothly and carefully.
Well, I wonder also, a lot of the drivers have talked about how Bahrain is a very unique track. It's very windy, it's very hot. There's a lot of speculation about how the cars might actually perform in more colder weather conditions. So we are in for a super exciting season.
Yeah, Australia, the first race, is going to be a very difficult track for them to harvest energy on because there's a lot of corners and not many straights. And then we go to China, which is dominated by very, very long straights, which might push the electrical energy really, really fast. So we've got two quite extreme tracks straight up, and I think that's going to test them. Conditions are going to be different. Australia can be quite hot. China can be anything from hot to mild. And then we go to Japan, which should be a bit colder. So by the first three races, I think we'll know everything about these cars.
So, Michael, why don't we talk about the new bits on the car that we've all been noticing? I've noticed, obviously, the wings seem to be moving. And then on the
Yes.
sides, there's like little side fins. There's a fin on like on the back as well. What else should people be looking out for when they see the new cards?
The rules have allowed all the teams to develop in completely different directions. So every car looks completely different from the others. There's no two that have a similar philosophy. And that's really exciting. The shape of each car is different, and lots of little details kind of stand out. McLaren have a very sort of pointy front nose. Ferrari have this gradated shark's fin, which looks quite interesting. So yeah, lots of little things like that. I think we're going to see a lot of development throughout the year. So the barge boards on the side are going to change their shapes. The wings are going to get new little winglets and all sorts of different things going on there. And what's exciting about this type of Formula One for the sort of aero geeks is most of the downforce and most of the aero is on top of the car, whereas the last rule cycle was all underneath, so we never got to see it.
That's true. That's true. Well, lots to look forward to. And Michael, I also noticed there were a lot of celebrities this time around at testing, which I don't really remember seeing celebrities this stage of the
Yeah,
calendar.
yeah. It was pretty cool. We had Carlos Alcaraz, the tennis star, my mum's favorite tennis player, and he was visiting Aston Martin and McLaren and a few of the other teams. And it's really nice for people like that to come to testing because they get really good access to the teams in the garages. There's fewer people around, and yeah, they can be a bit more relaxed about it. Keanu Reeves was over at Cadillac. He's doing a short movie with them. So yeah, lots of interesting folk.
I love Carlos. He's my favorite as well, favorite tennis player. He's one of my favorite. I also really like Yannick. Funnily, both of them are big F1 fans. I love the tennis and F1 crossover. And Keanu, he's Canadian, and I'm excited to see
Yeah.
his movie that he's producing.
Yeah, he had a funny moment where we were photographing and he came up to us and he was like showing his press badge because he's in his media now. So I guess he's a colleague.
That's funny.
A couple of small little innovations. They've now got indicator lights on the rearview mirrors. This looks quite unusual at the start because as soon as the car stops, these little indicator lights come on and they flicker. So when the cars are lined up for the start, you're going to have a whole series of fairy lights glittering on the start straight. And then Williams had a pretty cool innovation. When the cars are in the garage, they put a screen over in front of the driver, and that screen has lap times, telemetry, and all that kind of information that the driver needs. On the public viewing side, they've gone and stuck a screen that has a few adverts, but also these cool cartoon eyes. I just thought it was quite a nice little gimmicky thing. I'm interested to see if anyone copies
Yes,
that.
I thought that was a really cute innovation. I hope more teams do that because there were so many shots of the driver in the car looking at their numbers, especially in between Q1, Q2, and 3 during quali. So if that was more interactive, it's a great idea.
Yeah, but yeah, I think generally it felt really good to be back. I think the cars looked great, they sounded great. There's some issues around speed and cornering, but I'm sure those will get ironed out as the season goes. And I think we're in for a quite an exciting first race.
So let's do predictions for Australia, Michael.
Ooh, ooh, okay, all right. Who do you want to go first?
Let me just think for 10 more seconds.
Are we doing top three?
Top three. Top three. So hard to say.
This is
I,
going to
I
be the
feel like I
hardest
know.
prediction of the year.
So I'm going to go with Max, Lando, Charles. Max, Lando,
Ooh,
Charles.
okay. I'm gonna go for George Oscar. Actually, no. I'm gonna go for Oscar. I think he's gonna win his home race. I think he's gonna be the first Australian to win an Australian Formula One Grand Prix. So Oscar for the home win, and George and Kimmy second and third.
Well, we both picked a bunch of different teams, and that is
Yes.
something we hope to see more this year. More teams on the podium, different teams winning races. So, yeah, let's see.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a bit of a hangover from last year because the gaps between the teams were so small. I think in Qatar it was just over half a second between first and 20th. And I think the gaps are going to go much bigger. So what we'll probably see are rivalries between teammates becoming quite important. The teams will be separated by bigger chunks of time. So it'll be critical how each driver relates to their teammate, especially at the start of the season. And as it converges, maybe we'll see a little bit more fluctuation.
We love some teammate drama, so can't wait. Thanks everyone for watching. It's going to be a super exciting season, and I'm glad that we got a little sneak peek with Michael about how it's going in Bahrain so far. You can find all of Michael's links if you're not following him already, and until next time, we will talk to you then. Bye!